Good morning, Virgo. Before anything else, I just want to say something this space has become something I didn't fully anticipate when I started. The depth of the people who find their way here, the sincerity of what gets shared in the comments, the way some of you come back week after week, not because you need to be told what to do, but because you're trying to stay honest with yourselves. That matters to me more than I usually say. So, thank you, genuinely. Now let's get into it. Because what I'm seeing for Virgo right now is not something I'm willing to stay quiet about. I want to tell you about the specific sound a taut wire makes the moment before it finally releases. It's not a snap. People always expect the snap. It's something quieter than that, a kind of singing vibration, almost too high to hear, that passes through the air for just a fraction of a second before the tension resolves. If you're not paying attention, you miss it entirely. You only notice the after, the slack, the sudden absence of something that had been pulling so hard for so long that you'd stopped registering it as pressure at all. That sound is what I'm hearing in your reading right now. Something is about to release. And I know that's a bold thing to say. I know the title of this reading makes a promise that sounds almost reckless. But I want you to understand, I don't say things like this lightly. I've sat with enough cards, enough people, enough of the particular texture of moments that are genuinely about to shift to know the difference between something that might happen and something that is already in motion, already on its way to you, already so close that 2 days is not an exaggeration. It is an accurate description. Let me show you what I'm seeing. The first thing that lands for me, and it arrives with that particular quality of something that's been true for a long time finally being acknowledged, is that you have been carrying a weight that nobody fully sees. Not a dramatic weight, not the kind that announces itself or asks for sympathy, the quiet kind, the kind that lives in the shoulders at 2 in the afternoon when you've been managing everything perfectly and the perfection itself is exhausting. The kind that shows up in the 3 seconds before you answer when someone asks how you're doing. In that small pause where the real answer and the acceptable answer exist simultaneously, and you choose the acceptable one without even deciding to. You've been doing that for a while now. And something about what is coming, something specific, something concrete, something that is already in the architecture of the next 48 hours, whether you can see it yet or not, is going to reach directly into that weight and change it. Not dissolve it entirely, because I'm not here to sell you a fantasy, but shift it, redistribute it, make it suddenly, unexpectedly manageable in a way it hasn't been. The mechanism is going to surprise you. That's what I want to prepare you for, because the surprise is the part that catches people off guard and makes them dismiss what's happening as coincidence rather than receiving it as what it actually is. Don't dismiss it. Let me try to describe what I'm perceiving more precisely, because I can feel it sharpening as I stay with this. There's a contact, a communication, something that comes through a message, a call, a physical encounter, something heard through someone else that carries information you have been, on some level, waiting for, not obsessively, not desperately, but in that background way that hope sometimes operates in Virgo, quietly running underneath the daily business of your life like a program you haven't closed, consuming a small but steady amount of your processing power. This contact is going to confirm something. And here's what I need to say carefully, because I want to get this right. It's going to confirm something you already knew, not something new. The information isn't arriving from nowhere. It's arriving as validation of what your own perception, your famously precise, notoriously reliable perception has been telling you, and that you have been second guessing. You second guess yourself more than you admit. That's a Virgo truth I'll put on the table plainly. Your analytical mind, the same one that catches every error and notices every inconsistency, turns on your own intuitions with equal rigor, and sometimes that rigor is a gift, but sometimes it becomes a way of disqualifying your own knowing before anyone else can. What's coming is going to make that self-disqualification harder to maintain, because when you see it, when the information arrives, in whatever form it arrives, you're going to feel something very specific, a kind of involuntary recognition, not surprise exactly, more like the particular sensation of being told something you already knew but hadn't yet allowed yourself to fully accept. That clicking into place feeling, the sense of something settling that had been held just slightly out of alignment for too long. Trust that feeling when it comes. Please don't analyze it back into uncertainty. Let it land. I want to stay in this space for a moment and look at what's around this event, because nothing arrives in isolation, and what surrounds this matters almost as much as the event itself. Something is shifting in how you are perceived. That's landing with some clarity. So let me try to articulate it. There's been a version of you that certain people in your life have been relating to, a version that is real, genuinely real, but incomplete. A version that leads with competence, with steadiness, with the quiet reliability that you provide almost automatically. And people have organized around that version. They've depended on it. Some of them have, without realizing it, stopped looking past it, because it's so solid and so consistent that it reads as the whole picture. Something is cracking that open. Not destructively. I want to be clear about the quality of this. It doesn't feel like an exposure or a loss of privacy. It feels more like a dimension becoming visible that was always there, but that the light hadn't hit at the right angle before. Someone, or more than one person, I'm actually not sure of the exact number, is going to see something in you in the next 2 days that reorganizes how they understand you. And that reorganization is going to work in your favor in a way that is not subtle. Hold on. Something just arrived that I almost passed over. There's something here about recognition, about being credited for something you've done or contributed or endured that hasn't been formally acknowledged. That has been seen by some people, but not named, not held up, not given the weight it deserves. And the naming, in whatever form it takes, is closer than you think. Maybe it comes from someone you expected it from, which would be its own form of relief. Maybe it comes from someone you absolutely did not expect, which would be something more than relief. Something more like being genuinely, unexpectedly witnessed. Either way, the gap between what you have offered and what has been acknowledged is about to close. Let that mean something to you when it happens. You have a habit of receiving recognition and immediately minimizing it, moving past it before it can fully register, because staying in the moment of being seen feels slightly dangerous, like something you haven't quite earned or something that will be taken back. Let it register this time. Let it stay in the room with you. I need to talk about something that's showing up with a level of directness that I don't want to soften. There's been a decision you've been holding off on, not permanently. You haven't abandoned it, but you've been in a kind of extended deliberation that has started to cost you more than the deliberation itself is worth. The act of waiting has become heavier than either of the options you're weighing. And what I'm seeing, what is landing with unusual clarity right now is that the next 48 hours are going to provide something that functionally makes this decision for you, not by removing your agency. You're still going to choose, but information is going to arrive, or a situation is going to clarify, or something is going to reveal itself that makes one path so obviously correct, not dramatically, not with fanfare, but with a kind of quiet, undeniable rightness that the extended deliberation is going to end. Not because you finally figured it out, because something outside of your own analysis is going to cut through and show you what your analysis has been circling. I want to say something about this that might be a little uncomfortable. The reason the deliberation has gone on this long is not that the decision is genuinely unclear. If I'm honest with you, and I think you came here because you want someone to be honest with you, I think you've known for a while which direction is right. I think part of you has been waiting for external permission, for something outside yourself to confirm what you already know so that you can act on it without the full weight of that action resting on your own judgment alone. The permission is coming in whatever form it takes, and it may be very ordinary, very undramatic in its surface appearance. It is coming. And when it arrives, I want you to use it. Don't pocket it and keep waiting. Use it. There's a warmth in what I'm looking at now that I wasn't fully expecting, and I want to name it because it shifts the register of this reading in a way that feels important. Something good is trying to reach you, not a vague universal good, something specific, personal, targeted at precisely the place in your life that has been the coolest, the most careful, the most defended. Something that knows on some level how to get through. And the quality of it, what I keep feeling as I stay with this, is tenderness, which sounds like a soft word, but I mean it in the structural sense. The way certain materials are tender at a specific point of stress. The way something can be strong overall and still have one place that responds to touch. You have that place, you protect it well. But something is coming that is going to find it anyway, not intrusively, not violently, but with the particular accuracy of something that genuinely cares about where it's landing. Let me sit with this a moment longer because there's something specific trying to come through. There's a person connected to this. I don't want to overstate what I'm getting because the image keeps shifting slightly, but what's consistent is the following. This person has been in your life in some capacity. They are not new to your story, and something between you has been unspoken or unresolved or held at an arm's length for reasons that made sense at the time but that are running out of justification. Something between you is going to move toward you, not away, toward. And the quality of that movement, again, I keep returning to this word, is genuine, not strategic, not motivated by anything other than something that's been accumulating in this person for longer than you probably realize, finally reaching the point where it needs to be expressed. You don't have to do anything to make this happen. That's what I need you to hear. This is not a reading where I'm telling you to take action, to reach out first, to initiate. What's coming is already moving. Your job is to be available for it when it arrives, to not be so deep inside your own management of everything that you miss the knock at the door. I want to spend a moment on the question of belief because I think it's relevant to whether this reading can actually be useful to you. There's a part of you, a not insignificant part, that approaches anything in this category with a kind of internal asterisk, a footnote, a quiet voice that says yes, but yes, and yes. However, that voice is not your enemy. It's part of how your mind works, part of what makes you good at so many things. But right now, in this specific context, with this specific reading, I want to ask you to set it aside. Not forever, not even for long, just for the window of time between now and when these next 2 days complete themselves. Because here's what I've watched happen more times than I can count, with Virgo specifically. The yes but voice is so fast, so practiced, so efficient at intercepting incoming possibility and subjecting it to scrutiny before it can be felt, that sometimes the good thing arrives and departs before the heart ever gets to register it. The mind has already processed it, categorized it, partially disqualified it, and moved on, while the thing that was trying to reach you is standing in the doorway wondering why no one answered. Be slower than your own analysis for 48 hours. Feel first, understand after. This is not natural for you. I know that. But the size of what's available in this window, what I'm seeing when I look at your reading, what I feel in the quality of the energy pressing towards you right now is proportional to your willingness to actually receive it rather than simply process it. Receive it. One last thing, and I want to say it in the quietest register I can, because it's the truest thing in this reading, and the truest things rarely need to be said loudly. You are at the end of a particular kind of effort, not the end of effort. In general, you are a Virgo. You will never not be in the business of doing careful, serious work with your life. But the specific effort of holding things together through sheer will and precision when the underlying structure wasn't quite supporting you, of maintaining appearances that were technically accurate but experientially incomplete, of waiting with more grace than anyone around you probably knew you were working to maintain, that effort is reaching its natural conclusion. Not because you failed, because it's run its course, because the conditions are changing, because what's coming in the next 2 days is part of a larger reconfiguration that has been building underneath the surface of your life for longer than you've been tracking it. And now it's close enough that the ground is beginning to feel different under your feet, even if you can't yet see what's changed above the horizon. Something is arriving that belongs to you, that has your name on it in some form. That the sequence of everything you've been through, not despite it, but partly because of it, has been moving you toward. Be here for it 2 days. I mean it. I want to know, drop it in the comments whether there's something you've been waiting on that you've almost stopped letting yourself fully expect. Something where the hope has gotten so managed and so quiet that it barely feels like hope anymore. Because I think some of you are about to be surprised by something you'd half given up on. And I want to hear about it when it happens. This is one of those readings I feel in my chest while I'm doing it. If you felt it too, tell me. I read every single one.